Would like to bring you an update with regards to how the USA strikes on the Iranian nuclear sites is going to impact the Indian economy and the Indian stock market, and how the possibility of higher oil prices going to overall impact the Indian economy. So, just an update here. As per the reports that I've seen on the internet from the various different news websites and stories coming in from different English channels such as France 24 and CNBC TV 18 and also Fox News suggest that the the airstrike is going to create a huge economic uh, issue in terms of oil supplies to all the countries over the world. So it is going to increase oil prices, and we could see prices going up by about $30 to $40 per barrel. So it's not yet confirmed how quickly that will happen. It all depends on how Iran is going to react to the current airstrike by the US. So all eyes are currently on the Strait of Hormuz and the attack of the military facilities in the Gulf. So, as far as we know, Israel also continues to strike, the defense capabilities of Iran after the airstrikes made by the US and the follow-up strikes by Iran uh, last night or sometime today. You'll see more detailed reports coming in tonight after the actions that are taken by Iran and a retaliation by Israel would give us more insight into it. So currently, you can see uh, this talks about the domestic stock indices, Sensex and Nifty would brace for a sharp volatility on Monday morning, that is tomorrow, as Iran confirmed attacks by the US on its three major nuclear facilities. Stock investors would take the attack as a sign of broadening of the Iran Israel conflict. This week, the White House suggested that they will wait for a period of 2 weeks before any further actions are taken, and they were awaiting chances of negotiations. However, that doesn't seem to be probable now. So the fresh strikes raise questions about this. So another important topic that comes into mind is, how is this going to impact our oil imports? So I have another article here. uh, India has started ramping up import of crude oil from Russia and US in the month of June. It is due to the escalation and the likely passage Strait of Hormuz is likely to disrupt global oil trade. So uh, the crude oil purchases from Russia and the United States as the import volumes exceed the combined volumes from the Middle Eastern suppliers amid the market volatility due to the Israel-Iran conflict. Primarily, India's primary suppliers for the crude oil in the Middle East are nations like Saudi Arabia and Iraq. This comes announcement of coordinated or airstrikes today or last night. So you can see India would be importing 2 million barrels of crude oil per day, marking the highest level of Russian oil imports in the last 2 years, according to the agency reports citing Kepler data. The oil imports from Russia were at 1.96 billion million barrels per day in May 2025. This expected hike in volumes also set to beat the total volumes bought from the Gulf nations like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, as per the report. So on the crude imports on the U.S. front, Indian refiners imports from the U.S. also jumped to 440,000 barrels per day in June compared to 280,000 barrels in the previous month. The data report also showed how the full month projections for the crude oil imports from the Middle East into India stood at 2 million barrels, lower than uh, the May 2025 levels. India started importing cheaper oil from Russia soon after the Russia-Ukraine war in February 2022 due to the higher discounted rates post the economic sanctions from the United States. India buys nearly 5.1 million barrels of crude oil, which is then refined to be converted into fossil fuels like petrol and diesel. How, However, so far the Israel-Iran conflict, there have been no crude oil supply cuts or disruptions in the oil trade, which can potentially drive up the oil prices around the world. While supplies remain unaffected so far, vessel activity suggests a decline in crude loadings from the Middle East in the coming days. That is one of the leading research analysts suggest at Kepler data. Ship owners are hesitant to send empty tankers into the Gulf, with the number of such vessels dropping from 69 to 40, and Middle East and the Gulf MEG bound signals for Gulf of Oman. He said oil prices threat the global situation of uncertainty caused by the war, now risk Tehran retaliating by closing the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of is a strategic important trade passage for global crude oil, as the strait links the Gulf of Oman, the Arabian Sea, and the Persian Gulf. According to media reports, nearly a quarter of the world's oil trade passes through the Strait of Hormuz. Hence, any potential move to close the passage will result in the escalation of the raging war. Experts cited in media reports indicate that if any oil supply disruptions, the crude oil prices can jump up to $400 per barrel, assigns a very low probability of a full blockade, citing strong disincentives for Iran. This route serves as a major route for world oil and LNG export transit, and agency reports to show that India imports nearly 40% of its crude oil and 50% of its gas imports from Strait of Hormuz, which links to many Gulf nations. Okay, so we'll not go through the whole thing. It's very long and time consuming. So, I mean, this is all what important is to see how the markets are going to react after this, and how the higher oil prices could eventually impact the Indian economy on in the long run. So, uh, it depends on what actions Iran takes within the next few days, which would likely, impact the oil prices further, and possibility a longer war would means a lot of destruction for both Israel and Iran as well, and definitely that is going to impact many other nations as well in terms of economy, in terms of trade, in terms of higher oil import bills, overall impacting the economy of many countries. So that is something. So even if the Strait of Hormuz is compromised, there is a possibility that the price will go up, but some suggest that it won't go up to $120 as suggested in this article. So this is again whole report is talking about oil. Basically, it will definitely impact the Indian economy, as it will be more expensive to operate in terms of cost of living, and indirectly that would put pressure on the the profit margins that the company gain, and any sort of chances of market growth would be suppressed. Chances of growth would go down, and that would impact cost of living. Cost of living would impact the overall profitability, and there would be less likely of people investing in the stocks. There could be a higher chance of foreign institutional investors withdrawing their investments, and that could cause a stock market correction, if not immediately, in the next, maybe 1 or 2 months. Again, there would be volatility due to this conflict, and as it is, as per the Hindu Indian astrology, the planets of Shani and Rahu are still very close to each other, causing a lot of uncertainty, confusion in and around the world, and all the economic ways of doing business. So, friends, thank you for watching. We'll connect with any other update we get on the stock markets as of tomorrow, which should give us an insight of how things will move forward going, the next few days. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night and a good week ahead.